Always a pleasure.
It's an honor to jam with you fellas.
Right, exactly. It's been an honor and a privilege.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody. It's Outside the Inn. How's everybody doing? Everybody alive and well?
Yeah.
A little frazzled, as Dale said earlier. Yeah.
What's frazzling you?
Oh, I don't know.
Been out in the yard again?
Yes. Anyways, everything's okay. And you guys?
I just accidentally bumped a button and now I can't see you.
Oh.
So no, I'm
okay.
fine. There you are.
You got to keep track of that button for future.
Right?
Right.
Can you tell me about this? No, just kidding.
All part of the professional operation. I went to go to the TLV screen to open up tonight's show and it had died. So that's why we didn't get any girl from Ipanema.
Darn, I know.
You know.
I wait all week long for that moment.
I do too. And it wasn't there. So we might as well just hang it up right now.
I know. Good night.
Like the
Good night,
longer we
everybody.
do this, the less professional we get.
Right, exactly. Hey, Jen, we have a little bit of slapback on you, I believe.
Okay.
Check. Test.
Hello. Test.
Check 1, 2. Check.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
Is it still? I mean, I can barely hear you guys.
No,
you put it in a different place than it used to be, though, right? Like, isn't it like right next to the computer now?
Well, I'm using a different speaker, actually. It's way less boomy and such.
Gotcha. But is it behind the computer?
It's like this far from the microphone.
Wait, how far is it?
Like this far.
It's this far.
No, it's like this far.
we should stop sound checking since it's just become a bit anyway.
Yeah, right.
I know.
And now it seems a little better now. I can barely hear a little bit of mine coming in, but people won't.
Maybe it's not me. Did you ever stop to consider that?
Dale and I are using in-ears, so it's absolutely you.
No.
Oh well.
These are the biggest in-ears I've ever seen, by the way.
Right.
And you
Right.
refer to in-ears. This is I can still hear it a little bit when I'm loud.
Dude, I just had it like totally down all the way.
Check 1, 2. Oh, hang on a second. Check.
Aha.
Check. I don't know what that is.
Is it me?
We did sound check. What happened?
Here, let's see if it's this. Maybe it's the keyboard camera.
I was going to suggest that, but I don't see the feed, so I thought it was up.
It's all part of the check 1, 2. Check. This is all part of the fun inside the the background, behind the scenes.
Inside the outside.
Yeah, it's all part of the thing that makes it interesting for the people.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. That's a word.
Check 1, 2. Check. I'm still hearing it, and I have turned everything over here off. So.
All right, I'm
just going to power my speakers down. See what happens. You are no longer. I cannot hear you at all.
Check.
Nothing.
Check. Yeah,
I turned my speakers all the way off.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, then I'll just sit here. I won't hear anything you guys are saying. It'll be great. What?
So, remember that time we were on the road with Jen?
You realize I can't hear you, right?
And remember that thing?
Interject randomly, Jen.
That's why. If you have earbuds, you can always plug those in. I'm just saying. But
all right. Well, next time.
But, check. We'll live with it. People will pretend.
Everyone out there, thank you, everyone, is saying it sounds fine. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
everyone.
Wayne says testes 1, 2. Right.
That's a
Classic
good bit,
Wayne.
That's a good bit, Wayne. I've been using that one for a long time. I enjoy that one at a good sound check. Like when I went out and do clinic tours, I would say that through the EVPA system every once in a while. So I'm not sure if you could say that anymore. It's such a politically correct world, but I do enjoy it. So
Probably
anyway,
better
You
than
enjoy
that.
the testes?
yeah, I enjoy the testes. I enjoy 1 and 2.
Okay, we're
As
overstepping
opposed to,
something here, I'm sure.
as opposed to our friend Tom Green, who only enjoys 1. So,
Eric Davis says, "Poor Jen."
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, no. I think I started it actually.
so anyway,
I didn't have to repeat Wayne's comment.
all right. So this is Outside the
Right,
End. This is the weekly Travis Larson Band get together live chat / Q&A session hang. It's really just an excuse to like, hang out and see each other and complain about our technical issues, which is what we do when we're on the road. So
Right.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
like being in the van, right?
we do have a surprise guest at 7:30, so everyone knows. So if you're like just ready to log off right now, it's probably the time. No.
Right. Yeah. Now would be the time.
Now that so we've kind of got a
Be cool,
running.
my parents are watching.
we've got a running theme now where the surprise guest usually means it's somebody from the TLB world versus somebody else. When we started, we kind of started making them all surprised in the very beginning, and then we kind of started, maybe we should tell people when somebody of interest would be on here. So this person is absolutely of no interest.
No.
No, I'm only saying that because I can see his face right now.
That's why he belongs on this show.
Exactly.
I mean this person, this individual.
Yeah, individual. So this individual we'll have on at 7:30 is he actually is the longest running history with the Travis Larson Band, but we'll talk about that. So before I get into, I was going to talk a little bit about Wednesday, but let's just say hi to a few people first. I see Goober, he was there Wednesday.
Yay.
I saw Judy earlier.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
Hi, Judy.
Cool. Hi, Judy. Hi,
Judy
Sam.
and
Hi, Stephanie.
Let me talk about Judy for a second.
Okay.
Judy is in over like 300 movies and TV shows. And so here's what happened last night. I'm just going to like talk about this, and she's probably like, oh my God, right now. But I was clicking around the TV, and I got the iPad in front of me. So I got that Facebook. I can easily I can find Judy. And I'm clicking through the Facebook, and I see on the cable, they're playing that, what was the name of the show? I'm just going to see if I can make Judy say it. So I was, and this is a perfect title for tonight, to talk about tonight, by the way. So I was clicking around and I saw the show Saved by the Bell.
I like this. I like these two things right next to each other. Julie says, "Hi, all excited," and then, "Uh-oh."
Right.
So quickly turn around.
She says, "Oh no." So
Zach. Isn't Zach in Saved by the Bell?
Is he?
I don't know.
I think Judy would have to tell us that. But so Zach, I don't know anything about Saved by the Bell, but I started watching this because I know that Judy was on Saved by the Bell.
Oh, wow.
So
Nice.
I find myself watching Saved by the Bell for the first and only time in my life, I will say. And I'm like more concentrated on whether I can find, like a pseudo teenage Judy, to whether I can actually like stomach the acting and lines in this.
There's no other reason to watch that. In Judy's defense, however, I will say people love that show. So we're just being
that was a very popular show.
It was hugely popular.
Yeah, well, you know what? I won't talk politics on this webcast, but at the risk of like having everyone hate me, I'm going to say that show is an abysmal disaster.
What does that have to do with politics?
Yeah, right. That was not
because if everybody loves that show, they're going to be pissed at me right now, as if I was talking about politics.
Oh,
I see. Yeah,
I'm not talking about politics. I'm just talking about Saved by the Bell. Let's see how angry those people get.
the singer Eric, the singer and rapper in my hip hop band back in the day, would watch that if we had like reception at a hotel. Yeah. And I remember seeing it for the first time, and I just stared at him so hard. I was like angry at him. I was like, "Why are we watching?"
Eric would watch Saved by the Bell on tour.
But it's not fair to Judy because it's a big deal.
So I'm watching Saved by the Bell, and I'm like, every time they're in a crowd shot, and there's really like only 2 sets where they're in crowd shots. They're either in like I want to say the mess hall, but in high school they call that the cafeteria, right?
Right.
They're
High
either
school
in
or military, I don't know.
Yeah, they're either in the cafeteria or they're in this hallway with like these stairs. And I know that Judy knows what I'm talking about because she was there shooting, and she probably only walked through like 2 or 3 sets or whatever it was every day. And it's the same place every show, I'm sure. So I'm watching the show and I'm just looking for like a 4'11" Asian girl. It's like, and so I take 2 pictures of a couple of different 4'11" looking Asian girls, and I don't think they're her. And then I send them to Judy on Facebook. Like, huh?
Did she reply, stalker?
No, she replied, nope, that's not me. And I said, I didn't think so. And then she actually said a racial thing, but she could say it because she's the Asian girl. She goes, I know we all look alike, but that's not me.
Don't. Yep. Be cool.
So, be cool, man. So anyway,
I want to say real quick before I forget that Oscar Nino is here from Mexicali. And
Hi,
Oscar.
Hola,
Yeah,
Oscar.
we miss you guys. And Mario and all those cool cats down there. Hi.
Mario showed up on my live show on Wednesday.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he was on there. So
he was
anyway,
knocking at the door, and I was like, dude, go back. No. Sorry.
So anyway, back to Judy and her, not so hugely famous career in mediocre sitcoms.
In wildly popular sitcoms.
It was super popular.
Yes.
So I didn't actually find her. And then she sent me a thing, which I already knew. She goes, yeah, but I was, you got to go find, what was the TV show Beauty and the Beast. She's like, you got to find Beauty and the Beast because she was on that a lot. Nice. And I already knew that, but you can't, Beauty and the Beast isn't on TV right now. But the other thing that I know she was on was the Bruce Willis, Moonlighting. But so we kind of go around about that stuff, which we've gone around before. I already know that stuff. By the way, for those listening, Judy is a fan of ours that has come out and hung out with us a lot of times. She's a really sweet lady.
She's a pyrotechnician.
She's a pyrotechnician that blows stuff up at the Hollywood Bowl. Last time we drove by the Hollywood Bowl, she was blowing stuff up.
Isn't that cool?
And when she asked me if she could help me with my drums, I'm like, I'm not. And then she knew like as much about drums as I do. So she was super badass in whatever she gets involved in.
Yeah, the only drum roadie I've ever seen that wears a red cocktail dress to the gig.
Right.
So anyway, so she's, so we're going back and forth about the stuff I already knew. And then she drops a couple bombs on me. She says, I was in Midnight Run and I played a prostitute. I knew Dale would be on this.
And I'm on not very many movies, but I love that.
She was on Midnight Run. She's like, yeah, I played a prostitute. I'm like, holy crap, Midnight Run. That's like my brother's favorite movie.
De Niro and Charles Grodin, Midnight Run?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Isn't there Robert? Is Robert De Niro in that one too?
Yeah. She has a Robert De Niro story, but I won't just put that out there because she may not want me to. But but anyway, yeah, Robert De Niro, he still owes her money. But anyway.
That guy still owes me money.
So anyway, that was my evening last night, was I was watching Saved by the Bell, trying to find Judy in an episode of Saved by the Bell from like 30 years ago. And I was unsuccessful, according to her. So I got to keep trying if I see it pop up, but I don't think I can stomach any more episodes. It was a painful experience. So, but she tells me she's in like 300 things. And then I'm like, she tells me that movie. And then she tells me Twins. She's in Twins.
Oh, wow.
Like she's in all kinds of stuff. Movie. Right? Like all kinds of stuff. So,
Judy says,
and then she goes, I'm in like 300 and something movies. And I go, you need to tell me all these movies. And then she just clams up.
Oh, okay.
She's just, no. Like, I'm not gonna tell you all these movies because, she thinks I'm going to like go find them all and get screenshots or something and post them. Like
Stalker.
I would do that. Like I would do that.
You would never do that.
Like I would do that.
Like you're going to get on a webcast and just start talking about all this stuff.
Talking about it. So anyway, That's our friend Judy, the pyrotechnician, former professional extra / occasionally lined actor.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Yay!
That's
So-
applause is in order.
So let's talk about in TLB world. Wednesday, Jen and I ran the TLV over here pretty much flawlessly for the very first time.
Woo.
That was like many versions, many tests. We actually got this thing to broadcast without a delay on it. Jen did a fantastic job of directing the whole thing. There was only a couple. I mean, people have no idea the issues we're working around to actually spend no money and do this.
Right. There are a lot of limitations,
Yeah.
admittedly.
I thought it was pretty good too.
Right. I only had a couple of Facebook notes. I did pretty well. And then as far as the switching goes, it was phenomenal because Jen's probably, no one knows the songs better than Jen does. I mean, I don't see how we're ever going to do a band one and have somebody else do the switching on this thing because nobody else knows the tunes like one of us, you know.
What's actually kind of funny about that is sometimes in the middle of a song, I'm totally ready for the next part. And then it's not the part I thought it was. I'm like, oh my God, that's right. That goes twice as long right there.
Right.
Like,
right.
So I don't necessarily know the songs as well as I maybe should.
Right.
Hi, Sharon Vildrown. That's a good friend of my sister's. I knew Sharon back in high school, and we went to Salt Lake City. She said, hey, we should go do something when you're in town. She came, picked my ass up from a hotel, took me on an awesome hike up above Salt Lake City, and I think bought me a beer.
That.
So
I remember that.
That was solid. That was great. Anyway. Oh, and then foolishly offered if we ever needed another van in the area that they had a van very similar to ours.
Wow.
I don't know if that's still the case. Anyway.
Probably off the table by now.
Yeah. Anyway, back to what you were saying, Travis.
So we'd been kind of, testing this stuff and testing it, and we've done a couple of broadcasts, and this was like the first one where I think we really we had 9 angles going, with the whole OBS system we've got figured out in here. There's all kinds of limitations to that we've probably talked about, but if you're a super geek, so this I'm gonna do a shout out to somebody else. Now the problem is when you start doing this stuff well, your phone starts lighting up. So about an hour before the podcast tonight, I'm sitting in there at the kitchen table, and my phone lights up, and it's Ronnie Lee, who's we've talked about her from the Runaways, and
right,
and she texts me, and she's just like, "Can you answer some questions about the OBS system?"
Oh boy.
And I totally know what she's going through because we've been dealing with this forever, So all these musicians that are trying to figure out how to do cool streams and make them sound good and look good and all this stuff. I mean, it's all the best to you. It's not an easy task, especially when you don't want to spend any money. And there's a thing with, so we're running USB cameras, which you see a bunch of tripods in the background here. And the problem is you can't run, if you run more than one camera off of a USB port on your computer. So if you were to split them to run more cameras off the same USB, you can't go from one of those cameras to the next one. You have to go to one that's on a different USB port, which means you have to keep track of all that. So you could set up 2 cameras or whatever per USB port and split them. And you have to set up the switcher where it's easy, so you have a block of this is this USB port, this is that one, and you can only go from here to here and here to here, but to different cameras. So you have to keep track of all that stuff. Jennifer Young, who does a fantastic job.
I'll mention that on Wednesday, for the first time, I transitioned to a black screen, and I was like, oh my God. And that's because I had gone to one of the, not available cameras. You have to choose them, and you can only go from this one to that one and that one. It's a certain thing. And I thought I had queued up the right one, and I went boop, and I was like, oh no. And then I'm like, which one? So anyways, it's a little interesting.
It's too much to think about, but it's
like hopscotch.
Right. But now that we have it all working, it's you don't want to move anything. You're just thinking, okay, now we got to do another one at some point. But I wanted to give a huge shout out. Also, if you watched the show, and by the way, the very first post in this feed, I put up a link for the show in case you guys missed it. If anyone wants to go back and check that out, I did about 90 minutes. So here's a little bit of background into the show. So for the big encore at the end, I did kind of a special guest thing that was another thing we were testing. This is like under the radar testing, but we were figuring out how to do fly-in videos in case, for instance, you ever wanted to run like an advertisement or something like that. So, so the fly-in video was actually a performance that we were bringing in. So it was me and Larry Mitchell and Jen Majura from Evanescence, and we were jamming. And so we did this cool thing and put it all together in advance, and then switched it to try and make it look like it was, like a part of the show, as if I was still standing in the same spot in the same studio and all that. And all of a sudden they were joining me via satellite. That's like the way we were, trying to put it across. So the thing about the show, if you go back and watch it, one of the issues is Jen Majura is in Germany and she's 9 hours ahead. And so she's like, she was going to try and log in and get into the chat. And I was like, you're crazy. Don't worry about it. Larry will be around. It'll be fun. Everybody will dig the song and everything. She's like, no, I want to be there. I'm going to set my alarm. And so she said, don't play it until I'm on there. Don't play, make sure it's not before like 8 o'clock. And so I'm watching my clock and I'm like, when you see me looking at the comments and stuff, there's a few points where it seems a little bit dead and I'm stalling because I don't see Jen Majura yet. And she's like, whatever you do, don't play the song until I'm on there. And she was never on there because the alarm didn't get her. Like
9 in the morning where she was or something.
No, it was like 5.
Like 5, yeah.
Oh, I see. Got it.
9 hours ahead. So she set her alarm for 5. And then she said, yeah, the alarm went off and I just like hit it and just like it didn't register. It was just like, why is my alarm going off at 5?
Which is the right move at 5 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Nobody here would blame her for that. I said, absolutely. I'm actually glad you didn't get up at 5 in the morning, but that's why I seem like I'm stalling during some of the, when I'm checking the comments and stuff, because I was kind of looking for her. And then Larry was on at the very end. But if you haven't seen what we did at the very end of that show, check it out. It was a lot of fun. And it was really cool. It came off really, really well.
That was cool.
So, it was.
Nice job.
It was one of those things where, like, if we were at a club jamming, I would probably sing it. But since it's in the interwebs for thousands of people, as opposed to a few people locally or whatever, I didn't want to take the. How would you put it? It's not like I'm risking singing live. I just don't want to put people through the abuse, I guess.
Well, and if you were in a club jamming and Jen Majura was there and ready to sing, then you would just have her do it anyway, right?
Exactly.
Right.
So,
yeah. So anyway, that was a lot of fun, and I appreciated everybody showing up. There's about 3,000 views or something on there last time I looked. So, and we're able to do.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say we're doing.
Go.
We're able to do YouTube and Facebook now, so that's cool. Yes, Jen.
Goober says 5 puffs. What does that mean?
Maybe we shouldn't ask.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt your thing with that. I just, how the comments keep going and then you lose track of them.
Yep.
Maybe Goober's having, having too much
Cheetos?
Recreational fun. Yeah, right. Exactly.
You're only allowed 5 Cheetos, Goober.
Right. So, unless you guys got something else, I'll start leading into our evening tonight and what we have planned. You guys have anything you want to say before we get into that? You got anything to bring to the table that's like from your week or anything like that?
Anything from my week was just more crankiness about digital things getting all sorted out and then not working. So I think they've all had enough of that.
But so here's the thing real quick. Dale said he got a Windows 10 update that basically screwed everything, right?
True story.
I did not get this Windows 10 update. I mean, I my computer says update and shut down. Like when I go to shut it down, it's like finish updating and shut down. So I know it's doing updates, but I haven't had any issues.
Yeah. Well, from what I read, and I don't know, this is probably either everybody knows about this and it's old news or something, but I left my computer on right before our last webcast because I knew I was going to be rolling into the studio just in time for it. And then it had automatically done an update, and then it wasn't that the computer didn't work. It just doesn't recognize any. It's like I bought a new computer and it doesn't know the names of routers. It doesn't know my email. And then everything that does work on it, like when I finally got my email working again, which seems ridiculous that I had to do, every time I send something, it would go message sent, and it wouldn't work. And then I finally got it working, and then it would say error, message not sent, but it works now, but it always says not sent. And then everything's like that. Everything that thinks it works doesn't, and everything it doesn't does. I saw that Windows said something along the lines of they withdrew that update because they know it was a disaster, and I don't know what that means. They're not going to like go suck it out of my computer or something. And but then apparently
maybe they updated past it, maybe, or something.
That's what I understand, but I can't. With the new way my computer runs, it doesn't know what I'm talking about when I try to find new updates. It's just like, huh? So anyway, it's all going to work. It's just everything took 6-hour days turned into 12-hour days. It's just one of those weeks.
So I will mention that we are heading into a Mercury retrograde right now. So it could be part of the problem.
Yep.
October 14th.
Planetary parallax.
I was just going to say, so Judy's discussing her career with everybody now.
Yeah. We'll just watch. We'll take it back to the interesting person.
She says over 350.
Let's talk about Judy. The more interesting.
So I saw somebody mention that they went on IMDb looking for her. Judy keeps a pretty low profile. So now that's a now we've ruined that profile, but yeah, no, she doesn't want anybody to know about all this stuff. It's fine. Hey, speaking of not wanting to know about anybody's stuff,
time.
Right, it's time. This guy, we're bringing in somebody from the TLB family. This is probably the longest member, right, from the specific TLB family. Jen and I, we were playing together, and we would walk to like photo class in high school, and we would see this guy like walking the other way. And I actually met him through a drummer I was jamming with in high school back in those days. But I don't know, we probably knew him when he was 15, 16. And there's various photographic evidence of him, even back in the days of like, kind of like high school party gigs and stuff, like carrying gear and things like that. So, so if you were on any of the dates of the last tour of North America, this guy is the cowbell fluffer. And we'll just leave it at that. This is our good friend. And he's really more family at this point. This is Gino Sagginario. Yay!
Yay!
Hello,
Hey, Gino.
Hello, guys. How are we doing?
We're
Good.
We're fantastic.
I'm only allowed to call him Gino Sagginario, Travis.
Well, actually, so is all of Mexicali because they might stab me if I try to make rules.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hola, amigos.
So where did Gino Sagginario originate with Jen?
Mexicali. I'll let Gino tell the story.
No, but did it originate with you, Jen, or did it originate
Hares,
with?
Right?
Oh,
no,
was it
she
Hares?
just agreed with it wholeheartedly.
Yeah, right.
She perpetuated it. Yeah.
I thought it was Dino and Hares. I thought
It was either Mario or Hares.
Okay.
Gotcha.
had made that. Yeah, they loved it.
People from across America saying hi to Gino. Larry, Dickie, Joe, Eric, Mary, Scott. Or no, Scott's saying five puffs again.
Hey, Joseph.
Goober.
What's up, dude?
So
Larry.
Jen and I, Gino has been around, like we said, we knew him in high school, and like he's what we call a fixture, right? Would you say a fixture?
Yeah, I would say that.
I think
Absolutely.
fixer. I think you mean
A fixer, yes.
No.
Well, what would be the right word for like what would you guys consider your carts? Your rolling carts that you bring along.
the rock and rollers.
Yeah. What would you describe those as far as a use? I'm pretty much the legged version.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, Gino is the human rock and roller. which
There you
sounds
go.
cooler than
I
it
like
is.
that so much better than any of my other nicknames.
Yeah.
Human rock and roller. Nice.
Yeah, you
Now
can tell
it's
your
time.
parents that one.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
I'm
I
rolling
forgot.
that one. Jen's like,
Real
no.
quick, I forgot, and now that Gino's here, I'll get him in on this. But this came in the mail today, and I'm really excited about it. Then we'll get back to Gino. But apparently, Central Coast Rescue.
Oh,
Trav just took himself out.
all right.
I hit the wrong button.
That's never happened before.
Apparently, the
We're like in Jurassic Park. He left us.
Central Coast Rescue Mission is offering us a Thanksgiving dinner for $2.17. So you can see that right there. So, so I think we know what we're doing.
Wow.
And I know
Yeah.
Gino will be into that.
Trav texted me.
I could eat $2.17 of gravy alone.
Right.
Trav texted me a picture and said, "I know what we're doing for Thanksgiving." I was like, "Okay."
Hey, Tom says, "How's the new kitten?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom's paying attention.
Oh, you guys saw that? Oh, it's not mine. I actually, it's kind of weird. So, you remember my friend Jill, Caleb's wife?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She works for the emergency dispatch,
Okay.
and they were out there. This lady had heard just some animal, as she proclaimed. She kind of exaggerated, I guess, wild animal that was in her backyard, and so they had gotten a call. They go to pick it up. I believe just animal control picked it up. They've had this thing where they're trying to rescue all these kittens, and one of the dispatchers, wanted to give it to her kid, but they couldn't keep it in the dispatch room because you can imagine it's a noisy little gal.
Yeah.
And you can imagine the 911 call. It's okay. We're sending officer. That kind of thing.
Right.
So after they called me up and I babysat it for a number of hours, bonded with it, fell in love with it.
Yeah, this is a Facebook post that Gino did yesterday, I think. Was it yesterday or the day before or something like that?
Yeah, a couple days ago.
Yeah.
I've been in mourning for it ever since. But yeah, it was going to a cute little girl who loved it, and
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Happy
yeah,
ending.
and she better treat it right, or I'll be a kitty napper, little kitten
Right.
napper.
Kitten napper.
Can I show a picture of the?
So cute.
Wait, see if I can get the lighting right. Too much glare. Hold on.
Hold it still
There
for
we
a
go.
tiny second.
Yeah, but it's just all glare.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
what
pretty
a
cute.
Oh, my heart.
Sorry.
It was so adorable. And what was trippy was it never bonded with people. Like, it probably opened its eyes a few days ago.
Oh,
Or
wow.
days before we got it.
As long as I'm throwing pictures up, here's on Gino's Facebook, the with the aristocrats taking a bow. That's in
Quebec.
Montreal, huh?
No, that was Quebec.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
I'm famous there.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
I peaked.
Right.
That's Gino's claim to fame now is he is the cowbell fluffer for Marco Miniman.
Only that band. Go ahead.
I thought it was fourth aristocrat. That's where I was.
Hey, Mark Storm is watching.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark Storm. Everybody knows Mark. Mark's been on here in Gino's position as part of TLB family guest. So here's the thing. So Jen and I went to high school with Gino. I knew Gino because the drummer that I was jamming with was friends with Gino, and I would go over to his house and Gino would be playing his drums. And most of the time he would be playing Synchronicity 2, right? Was that the tune?
Pretty much.
Boom,
That's
boom,
still
boom, yeah. And then, or he would be like asleep in the corner on like some kind of a pad or something. And then, so I knew Gino through the drummer, and then Jen, I think they were more of part of like the same kind of like high school crowd. Like that was the crowd that I wasn't part of. That was like the weekend.
No. We were trying to decide who knew you first, Gino, because I was part of like lots of weird crowds. So I knew, you know what I mean? But I don't know how you and I met, Gino.
Well, Trav, I think it was Trav first because I think our mutual friend, it was in junior high, late junior high or freshman year that he was drumming with you, right?
Yeah.
And me and Jen would have met. She was a senior in a couple of classes I was in, I think, like.
So when I was a senior, or when we were seniors, you were a freshman. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we had like some of those the classes that stoners take,
right,
photography or something like that.
Yeah, that's where me and Travis met, photography class.
Yeah. So, but we did know each other from some keggers here and there too.
Right.
That's the part I was talking about.
Yeah, I was
10th Street.
I was there at a kegger too, for sure. Jen was definitely the kegger queen.
The 10th Street keggers.
The Fagan house on 10th Street, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. Jeez, that brings me back. Yeah. They had the indoor pool and the whole shtick.
Yeah.
It's a great house, and their parents left a lot, so it worked out quite nicely.
I don't remember an indoor pool. I must have
missed that.
Oh, the Fagans? Yeah, they had an indoor pool.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I never saw that.
Yeah, it's still over
there.
They
kept me in the dungeon, I guess. Stick her over there.
Well, Jen probably went straight for the warehouse, which is where Rocksteady Posse used to rehearse with Dale. Do you remember that, Dale?
No.
Or was that after you? There was a warehouse at the Fagans, and they were the people that owned the video music store that Jen and I managed for like 11 years back in the 90s. And so there was a time where Rocksteady Posse was rehearsing in their warehouse, but they had only happened twice because the cops kept getting called because it was a warehouse, like a metal building warehouse. And this was over in Los Osos, kind of near where you used to live.
Up until Los Osos, you were describing where I used to live when I was in Rocksteady Posse. It was a metal warehouse. But, no, I don't think we ever had. When I was in the band, we never got scattered by the cops rehearsing.
Okay, that might have been with JJ or something.
Yeah, after me?
After you, might have been.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
maybe
anyway,
I'm just forgetting.
So Gino,
the cops' radar.
Yeah. So Gino basically, kind of grew up with us, and then he would be around for a lot of gigs, but then he would kind of disappear for like years at a time, and then he would come back and he would be around for a bunch of gigs, and then we started like pulling him onto tours. But I have evidence that he was around even when we were building the studio. Just like a quick clip I'm going to show, just because, I can. And this is a funny throwback to Jen, actually, too. Like back in those days, like getting her bass warmed up. Like,
oh no! Oh God!
We don't need any sound for this, but there's a clip of Gino coming up here. Drastically different hairline going on in these days.
Oh wow!
Right?
Nice.
It's like really Dollar's kid or something.
Yeah, you really you look like Dave Grohl. Oh, and there's Aaron. Aaron should be a guest on this show at some point too.
Oh man, Aaron would be awesome.
So let's see if I can get back here and hold it. So Gino and Dave Grohl for a while there in the late 90s were the same guy.
Nice. Look at that.
Right? Yeah.
They called. I had a couple people in Bakersfield call me Chaka.
Yeah,
that's what Grohl used to call himself.
Oh, got it.
Skin and the whole boogie. Yeah, I got a lot of Dave Grohls back then.
Nice.
Now I get more of the like Mongoloid Bruce Willis or something.
No, now you get Cowbell Fluffer.
Where do I get all these nicknames from? Huh.
Tell me the story you told me the other day. He's truly famous now, you guys, because he has added to the special, very, very specific membership of this little foursome here that has been recognized in airports. So.
Oh yeah. I believe it was the Dallas show. I don't know if you remember. There was it's kind of a younger crowd, but yeah, just basically I was riding the shuttle through Dallas wearing an 8-Krat shirt because they give them to me for working. So
yeah,
really, they
work for shirts.
This is my one non-TLB non-aristocrat shirt that I own. I wear.
and being that the whole room looks green, what does it say on that shirt?
Oh yeah,
nice.
Right on.
That's actually dedicated to my stage name in one band, Rob Rockley.
Gotcha. Took me a second.
Yeah, come on, Dad.
Sorry. Sleeping on the job.
Anyway,
So tell this story.
So I get stopped on the shuttle by this, I mean, the kid was probably like 20. And he's like, Aristocrats, oh, wait, were you at the show in Dallas? I was like, well, yeah, I was kind of, part of it. And he's like, the cowbell, you were the cowbell guy.
Nice.
Like, yeah, I did other stuff too.
Yeah, but he didn't see that other stuff.
Cowbell guy.
Yeah.
All he saw was the cowbell guy.
That's all they have to see. I got to talk to my agent about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the inside joke for people that don't know the deal. By the way, hi mom.
Oh shit! Hi, Mom.
Wow.
Hey, Maddie, how you doing, bro?
So here's the thing.
Goober.
Where was
He's
I
a
going?
nice
I lost my place.
Somebody just tuned in and said, "Oh shit, Gino! I just turned in."
What was the cowbell fluffer? What are we talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
So here's the thing. Marco really hates cowbell, as should most people that aren't playing, one of two songs, either Honky Tonk Woman or the one of those two songs. Otherwise, enough cowbell, right? So anyway,
put me out of work, bro.
So Marco,
yep, I know.
So Marco hates cowbell, so he wouldn't have a cowbell on stage as part of his drum kit. But there was an Aristocrat song that absolutely required cowbell. So instead of allowing a stand with a cowbell on it, Gino had to have to run up there at strategic times during the set and hold the cowbell. But it was actually a thing. Like, he had to actually know when the cowbell was going to happen. So he became like part of the show and actually needed to, like, it wasn't just like one time. It was like, okay, now.
Yeah.
Okay, now.
And people would be like, yeah, it's Gino.
Well, it's crazy because you remember when it first started, when we were at, what was the first one where we did the 2 warm-up shows, San Pedro?
Yes.
And at first they were talking about doing it where, like, there was going to be this whole shtick where I was like the inept tech, obviously an easy role for me. But they wanted me to run on for a few songs, and it started to get really complicated really fast. And so kind of collectively just decided, like, we'll save it for the porno song.
Yeah.
The porno song.
Appropriate. What was the name?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was trying to remember the name of that song. I mean, it's in my head forever.
Oh, you can't say it right now.
Oh,
the D-grade movie jam.
That's right.
I mean, I suppose you can.
D-grade fuck movie jam.
No, my mom's here, man.
Well, it's not like you had nothing else to do either. Gino's basically responsible for teching the entire show. Like, he has eyes on the show the whole time, unless maybe somewhere 2/3 through I'm there or Jennifer's there and he can go get to the restroom or something. But so you have to, like, be responsible for everything going on, and then also be an integral part of the actual the shtick.
There was also, like, the whole keeping people from taping thing and running around with that sign in my pocket and, like, running
right.
up
Managing the crowd and the stage. That's right.
Which worked a million times better after the cowbell bit than before. Like, I had no thought whatsoever, but once I held that cowbell, it was in my pocket, baby.
The cowbell guy told me to turn off my camera. Of course I will.
Yeah, it was kind of sad for them, but
So I never really got a chance. That was right in the point of the show when I was doing other stuff too, before I would start relaxing. And I was always thinking about how you must have sometimes just been so stressed out by stuff going on technically for somebody that you're trying to resolve. And then you've got to put on a big smile and make the crowd like it. There must have been shows where you're just trying to look fun in the middle of just dying inside.
There was a couple shows, especially early on, there was the time where I, just moved my chair ever so slightly because I'm behind Beller's huge bass rig, and unplugged the show.
Oh, that's right.
That's a rockin' move.
Sacramento.
Yeah, that's a good move for your early days on the road.
She knows exactly when. Yeah, that was harsh. And, like, little things like that, and I don't know if you remember, but, like, there's always, like, Marco's such a heavy hitter on those drums.
Yes.
So many times there was either the rocking hi-hat stand, which me and Dale, engineered a bit of a bit of a fix for that. But I mean,
it's like an earthquake retrofit.
Microphone sliding into the drum,
Yeah.
falling, like just lots of little things.
Totally.
Brian going to move and seeing that his cord was wrapped around his drink and having to do a lasso move.
Yeah.
There's weird, stupid little things that happen on stage, but also trying not to. There was one point where I was so tired, and we were in a really boomy. I forget. It was kind of like the first month, like towards the end of the first month of the tour. I was so tired. You know how much noise is going on behind Beller's rig next to Marco's drums, and I'm sitting in my little chair. And I was like,
yep.
And I ended up falling asleep and falling into the drum stand just a little bit. I caught myself.
Oh my God! If you had just sprawled into it.
Just caught myself and there like a couple people saw it. I remember looking.
Yeah. I can attest to that. It's possible to fall asleep amid ear-damaging noise.
So let's talk about the first day, because you just talked about San Pedro being the 2 warm-up shows. And so San Pedro was really where, so when you do a tour that long, you have a couple of shows where you're in the same venue, so we can really find our feet and see what problems are. And all the vehicles kind of converge on that first show, and you figure out what's going to fit and what's not going to fit. And so last week was the Marco talk, where we were talking about, I still had Marco's gong drum. But let's take a look at that first day with you and Kip driving around LA in the van, where let's see where that gong drum showed up.
That was me and Kip driving through the mountains of, back behind East LA there.
Yeah, also it's just some of the glamour of running a rock show, right?
Oh yeah.
So you can see, just so people understand, Kip is driving, and you could see like the visors right above that thing. So that thing is literally like sitting on your shoulders between you guys while you're driving the van.
And I mean, that was the last possible place for it. That thing was so filled. What was amazing was towards the end of the tour, after learning all the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, it actually became to where we'd have a little extra room. Yeah, we could buy like an extra bathing suit for Florida or something and stuff it in there. It was crazy.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Jen's had enough of you.
Oh yeah. Stormed off.
How it goes, yeah. About 15 minutes of me and Jen's like, no.
Speaking of those San Pedro shows, since we give you so much crap, Gino, I'm going to sing your praises for a second. I remember Gino got thrown into this position where he's suddenly the everything tech, and it was a little bit last minute how you were cool enough to take that gig on somewhat short notice. And I was like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll be on top of things for the drums, and then I'll show you what I know, and then you can take it all over. And in the very first show, I somehow assembled Marco's double pedal in a weird way. It wasn't wrong, but it wasn't stable, and it collapsed during the show. So and then something was going weird, and Marco didn't know who to gesture to, and you were all over it, Gino. Like I was going to be like, I'll make your life easy for a week or two. And I screwed up the first night, and you fixed it before I knew what was going on. So Gino was all over things. That was great. That was impressive.
You saved my tuchus, but I mean, there was no way I could even, I thought I was going on as basically just a drum tech, and then it kind of became more.
It was a group effort for a little bit, but yeah.
But certainly there was no way I could sit there and go, you're giving me too much stuff, while Jen's just
doing everything.
She took on so much responsibility on that whole thing, and
right.
She was the basically the circus barker.
The cat herder.
Cat herder.
Right.
I saw a meme on Facebook today, and it was Lucy from I Love Lucy, and it's one of those looks where she's like, and it said, the moment when you realize this is your circus and these are your monkeys. And I just was like, I know that look, and I know that feeling.
That's great.
Yeah, it's funny because I tell people, I've had jobs that were pretty stressful in my life and a lot of responsibility, and a lot of work, 20-hour days and things like that. And when you do what you guys do, tours and stuff, people are like, oh man, it must be so much fun. And I think what epitomizes so much of that to me was there's this one part when we were going to Denver. We were filming some stuff driving to Denver, and we were doing that. It was through that first Arctic blast. And
you're talking about the first time. Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
Okay, yeah, 2014.
Yeah, but go ahead.
But there's this one spot where Jen had the camera on the dashboard, and it was just kind of filming us while we're cruising, and we're all just sitting there, and like there'd be a bump, and we'd be like,
right, and we all simultaneously, like,
yeah, and everybody's just like, bird. And that was like day 3 or something. We hadn't even done a gig yet.
Yeah, so we could get into that right now a little bit. Jen filmed all that, and I went looking through that a little bit today, and there's first of all, it was several days, and I just took the worst day for this here, but we basically had to drive to Denver, like from San Francisco. Like I think we played at Vinny's in Concord, and that was just us. And then we drove to Denver to start the first Aristocrats show, and we hit a blizzard, and it took us like 2 14-hour days of black ice. And the day before that was just to get to Salt Lake, and that was going up through the mountains, and we had to put chains and all that on. I actually didn't even include that footage into this because that wasn't the scary footage. But the scary footage is pretty self-evident because you'll start noticing everybody in the entire world is going the other direction. It's totally one of those shots where you see the highway and you see 1,000 vehicles going that way, and we're going that way. Just
this
complete, just idiots.
This is that Nebraska-Wyoming stretch?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. The Wyoming stretch. And it was so trippy how, like, once you went over that state line, it went from decent to, holy crap, we can't go over 22 miles an hour.
Yeah. So this is actually the first Aristocrats tour. Actually, 2014 is this one. We did dates in 2013, but this is a trip that we took, and this is the first actual tour. So TLB, I think, did a couple of dates, maybe the year before that, and then this is when we actually went out and did the Western states for the first time, and we took Gino on with us. And again, I don't need sound for this, but it's pretty self-explanatory as it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse until pretty soon it's just scary. And anyone that's ever driven through anything like black ice knows that, like I came off so it's starting to get here where that's not just wet, that's actual like hard. It's like hard ice. And then,
and like Gino said, we were going through one state, and I think it was,
and then whiteout.
Yeah,
where you can't even tell where the road is.
It wasn't. This looks better than what we were driving in. Like
I couldn't even tell where the ledge was. But if you went off of it, it was soft snow, so it wouldn't go well. This is me at a gas station where Jen's going, "How's it going?" And then she just kind of shuts up and says, "He's stressing out right now," because I watched it earlier. But
I remember coming into this gas station or a different one where you took the exit trav.
And you couldn't stop.
And you're just going downhill on ice. And all of us were just silent because we knew what was going on and just hoped, like, we're wishing you luck, Trav. And Gino said one little thing is like, coming in hot.
Look at all the trucks on the left there. You guys see all the trucks?
Yeah. Now look at this. We went to a truck stop.
This was when it was really trippy. By this time, we're already like, the stress of just that many hours.
Look
You're
at this.
already kind of kooky in the head.
Look how scary that is.
And then next thing it was like surreal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There were cars sliding off the road. Even if they're going 20 miles an hour, they just couldn't get traction to stay on the road. And then what? I don't even know what happens to you out there in those conditions.
And then this was coming out the other side where we were, we were going to live. But
we got to that truck stop, and I remember us all going, "We'll see what the truckers are saying," and we were talking about it. That'll give us confidence. And all the truckers were just sleeping bagged up in the lounge, going, "No, we're not going out there," and we're just idiots from California going, "Well, we got a show to do."
We gotta get to the show.
Yeah, we were literally in the truck stop where everybody was camped. and
Yeah.
we were like just in there to get some Arby's and leave.
And keeping in mind, we're in a van that's like completely filled, probably overloaded, like
Yes.
past capacity.
Yeah.
Every nook and cranny is filled with gear because we had the ACRAT's gear too. That's why we were in such a hurry, right?
And
Yeah.
the original GK cabs, which weighed a
Yes.
lot more than the ones on the last tour.
A lot more than the van.
Yeah, those things were insane.
Yeah.
The other thing is those tires were not. First of all, they were not the newest tires, but they were also like complete California street tires, like, you know, kind of partially bald California street tires. not. I mean, like, so going back to the ice thing, when we got off, it was the first gas station where we had to get off and get gas in the black ice, and I was going so slow down the ramp. I mean, I got it down to like 10 miles an hour, and there was still no controlling it. I just started like doing that thing where you're just sliding, and then I just cranked it all the way to the right because that was going up a hill, and to the left went down the hill to the gas station. But I knew that was trouble.
But you're not steering. You're just going sideways now.
No, but I was steering, but it was like steering it into a slide.
Okay.
Like I just cranked it as hard as I could to the right, and it just started sliding to the right, and then it went up the hill and kind of stopped. It kind of started sliding back, and then I was able to slowly back it down and roll it down to the gas station. And then coming into the gas station, even I slid a good 3 feet on the floor of the gas station, like coming in, and I'm barely moving. I'm doing like 5 miles an hour, and it's just like just
and
stopping.
When we landed, everyone was like, "Yay!"
Yeah. And you're not even thinking injury. You're just thinking if this thing tips over, there's no tour. Like,
yeah.
Question for Trav: if you hadn't studied so much of A-Team and Starsky and Hutch, could you have pulled that up?
right.
Exactly. It was all about you turn into the slide,
Yeah.
do that, right?
Seeing how Baracus handles the van, you know.
I got to say one last thing, though. That the things that pictures doesn't express is that at night, there was no way to tell if you were on the road or not. You had to just tailgate a semi. That was the only way, and it wasn't safe following distance, but if he got out of your sight, you couldn't tell where the road was. And the only way was to just go, well, he's not going to, if he slams on his brakes, we're not going to rear end him because he can't stop either. So you'd just be sucked in behind a semi, like 12 feet in front of you with just following these headlights. It was so blacked out. Anyway, sorry, I had to say that. It was scary.
No, you're right. The nighttime, and we did a ton of driving those nights. That was especially harrowing. You know, in the back of a dark van next to my road buddy Dale, who provided.
That's the harrowing part.
That's the harrowing part. But like, with all that gear behind you, you know, a case of Trav built, which Trav built. He's not an engineer, you know.
Hey, now.
Those were video store.
Yeah, I was gonna say those were quality shelves that Jen and I got from the video store.
From the video store,
like pirates when they closed the shop.
Yeah. Oh, what can we use this for? I know.
To hang sunglasses on and.
Yep.
I remember literally asking, there's a side trek, but I remember literally going into the video store and saying to Ingrid, what would you have any extra shelving that I could have? And she was like, yeah, there's like piles of it back there. Take what you want. And I was like, awesome. What are you going to do with it? I'm building a cage.
She should have probably asked a few questions.
Right.
Cage for hobos and techs.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I remember, so we did they were 9-hour drives to begin with. And then it turned into 14-hour drives because we could only do like 35 at the most. And that was scary. Yeah. We were barely moving.
I believe the longest one when we rolled up into, I remember rolling up into that hotel and I think we clocked it at 17 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
That was the effing robot day.
Yeah.
Like Trav, he was so just like.
Yeah. So Gino starts getting irritated by the fact that I'm just like, like
I don't know about irritated.
It's the focus. It's the focus, right?
Yeah. I was more irritated by the fact that we had to do it. Certainly not you. I mean, that was amazing skills on your behalf. But at one point, there's all this stressful stuff going on, and like it starts to white out. And Trav's just still on the wheel, and just eyes forward. We've been doing this for a few days already. I was just like, sorry, Ma. Fucking robot, man.
Yeah.
You're like
think
Johnny Cab up there,
I could be wrong, and I will apologize as well. But I think you said, Jesus Christ, you're a fucking robot.
Yeah. I didn't want to let everybody know I was a heretic, but
right.
They kind of know.
Yeah, it wasn't weather that we just weren't used to. It was weather that everybody was waiting out. Like all the truckers were going, we'll stay off the road for 2 days and let this pass. But we just didn't have that option.
So one of the things that Mark Storm has always taught us on the road, he goes, just follow the professionals.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're in, he goes, so look at the long haulers. Look at what those guys are doing because they're the professionals. All those guys were parked.
Yeah.
All of them. And the only 2 guys that weren't parked, we saw upside down in a field next to the freeway.
Wow, that's right.
Remember that?
They closed off at Wyoming. We were some of the last people going through, as I recall.
They don't close Wyoming.
Oh, I know. It's pretty much closed even when it's open. But I remember they got the gates in the snowy states.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, and we passed through just right before they ended up closing those gates up and shutting down the freeway behind us.
Yeah, like we wouldn't have made the gig.
Yeah, that was weird. I forgot that.
Yeah. I remember hearing or talking to one of the truckers at one of the stops that we did.
Yeah,
just hearing the chatter, and they're like, "Yeah, it's shut down." Well,
what about
yeah, shut down.
And what Gino was talking about earlier, the state line, we went into Wyoming, and it had been like, it's icy, but it's snow plowed. And then all of a sudden, we hit the state line and just went chunk chunk up on like 3 inches of mirror smooth ice, and then it was just a whole different thing. That state was not plowing this.
No, Wyoming's a take your own risk, at your own risk kind of a state.
Yeah,
right. So Gino has done 2 out of our 4 Aristocrats tours, but the first one wasn't really a tour. We did like 3 dates, I think, the very first time with the Aristocrats, or 3 or 4 dates.
I thought it was like a week, right?
Well, with you, it was a week and a half, and we did the Western states. We went down into New Mexico, and that's for the first time we went to Mexicali, and so that was like a proper tour. But the very first time we went out was when we did like San Diego and I think Sacramento and something like that, like a couple of things around the NAMM show, or from what I remember. But then with you, it was like that was the first proper tour, and then the next proper tour was the whole North American tour in 2015 that you weren't able to do because I think you were a responsibly employed person, maybe.
It happens from time to time.
Yeah. And then on the last one, and rightly so in retrospect, you said, I don't want to miss out on this again because I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to do this again at this level. Like we're going to go out for 3 whole months, do all of North America. All the shows are sold out. It was a really great tour. And so you quit your job, went on the road with us, came back thinking I'm going to now be able to use this as a credit to be a professional tech in the music business. And here we are sitting on this Zoom meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to hear something funny? I was actually talking to Brian about a week ago. And I was lamenting that whole thing. I was finally getting good enough at this to quit pissing people like you off.
So what was his response? No, I'm still pissed off.
Yeah.
That was about the nature of his chuckle. Yeah.
Right. He's like, all right, Gino, I'll talk to you later.
That's the one. Yeah, but it was funny. It was like, man, I finally kind of felt like I was getting into the rhythm of it, and then did a few gigs here, because for a little while right after that, there were some bands going through Aberdeen, and I mean two full truckloads of gear, things like that.
Let me tell the running joke because we can tell it. Here's the thing. One of Gino's jobs on the road was Brian had a song where he sat down, like on a chair, like it was a tune, like a quiet ballady tune where he was playing a lot of chords on the bass and stuff, and he had to sit
Last
down.
quarter, as Guthrie would say, the saddest song ever made.
Saddest song ever made. Okay, so he's got to sit down in this chair, and he's very particular about where the monitors are and all this stuff. So Gino has to have this chair in exactly the right spot every night. And then, what's your first big professional gig after the Aristocrats tour, working for a world famous band that everybody will know? And what did you have to do?
I'll give you a hint. Boom, bop, mow, mow.
Oh, wow.
Right.
So it was a Christmas show.
Yeah. So
which required Santa to have the seat exactly where it needs to be. And
Wow.
yeah. So Gino's literally moving like 5 chairs around for the Oak Ridge Boys after our tour with the Aristocrats.
He's got like a whole chair techniques and stuff.
Yeah, it's like the chair mover.
I told one of my friends, it's like one of my coworkers is this girl Ashley, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm less of a tech and more of like a interior designer at this point.
Right. But you got, working for the hardest out there. I mean, you already had Brian out of the way with the particular where it had to be, and then when you move into the Oak Ridge Boys, you were ready for five chairs.
Oh yeah, and the Santa throne.
Right.
And about the most messed up snow machine situation you could possibly imagine, and things like that. Yeah, it was great.
All right, so we're way past we're past schedule on this, but Jen, I don't know if you have a joke of the week, but
I didn't prepare.
Hey, by the way,
Gino, I know.
Well, I was gonna say, while you're finding that, Gino, your mom says, hope to see you soon. We need some furniture moved.
Yeah, man. No surprise that there had some cattles and some barns and some haystacks, bushels of pears.
Right. Okay, Jen.
All right. What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back?
A stick.
Yeah, Gino. Gino is the comedian of this group. Yes.
Oh, that's sad for all of us.
I know.
All right. So I have, because I know Gino well, and there was 2 ways I could have gone on this, but I went the way that everybody will know and respectful. So there's no Gigi Allen or anything like that involved. but here's the so this week's Who's the Man for people that don't know better is like when you take something like, I always use the analogy like David Lee Roth, Sammy Hagar, that kind of a thing, right? Jimi Hendrix, Eddie Van Halen, those are like Who's the Man. So this week's Who's the Man, which is specifically particular to Gino's respectable musical tastes. David Gilmour, or Jimmy Page?
You want to start with them or you want to start with me?
You.
Oh, I'm Gilmour all the way.
Okay.
Nice.
Because Gilmour, while I think he's kind of, I know this is going to sound weird, but more of a one feel kind of guy. Like he doesn't branch out from what he does very much, where Jimmy Page will.
Yeah.
Page is a little bit more, certainly hacky, and not as feely in most of what he does. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely adore Jimmy Page.
Well, and you're also you're playing live to that, obviously.
Yeah.
Because Jimmy's really a studio guy, and live there's amazing versions of live Jimmy, and then there's not so amazing versions of live Jimmy, right?
And then there's complete and total catastrophes of live Jimmy.
Right. But Gilmour live is always just so professional, and so like every note is very specific, and
the technical parts of what Gilmour does, from just the tonic side of it and the delivery side of it, the feel side of it, like he's kind of got it all going on. Right. Page is more of just I'm gonna get through this, I'm gonna get through this and play it and
Right.
require the rest of the band to hang on to it.
I see no arguments so far. I see Greg says Gilmore, Chris says Gilmore.
Interesting, yeah.
Oh,
So-
Sam asked a question right here. What year is that Black Beauty? It's 73.
Is that the one your dad gave you in Atlanta?
Guthrie's words, Gibson is trying to make a Gibson that feels like this Gibson.
Nice.
Yeah, Guthrie played that on some shows. That's right.
Yeah, he played 5 shows with it. Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
was the
So-
song? He used it on something specific. I forget what.
It was the Brian Beller "I'm Sad Because I Got My Bases Stolen" song, Ballad of Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Good
And
memory.
the one they recorded it with originally when they were in Ojai, it was whose guitar was it? Dale, you might remember this.
It didn't belong to the drummer.
No, I know the story you're talking about, but I don't remember.
I want to. It wasn't Fogerty, but it was Kenny. Not Kenny Loggins. Never mind. That one was lost.
Here's the guitar.
Oh, hey,
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Jeffrey playing that guitar.
nice.
Very nice. Yeah, he wanted to take that home with him.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he said it was set up beautifully, and it's out of those years, it's one of the nicer ones, and that's why nobody's going to get my address or anything like that.
Ronnie
Yeah.
Lee is here. She says, sadly, Gibson does not seem capable of that anymore. Hi, Ronnie. I don't know if you heard, but we talked about you earlier. I talked
Hi,
about our
Ronnie.
conversation.
Hi, Ronnie.
And she's kind of, well, no, I'm not going to badmouth Gibson or anybody at this point, but they definitely made a hell of a guitar back in the day.
Yeah.
Jan, did you
Well-
have a response to the Who's the Man?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to have to stay out of that one. I'm a little torn in a lot of different ways, you know.
You know,
You know,
that's funny.
Actually, one of the first conversations we ever had in our little stoner smoke behind the auto shop area was about Led Zeppelin.
I'm sure.
Because, yeah, it was kind of funny. I'm kind of remiss for telling this story.
I don't remember it. Are you going to tell it or is it awful? I don't know.
No, it's not awful. But so we were like, you know, we talked music a lot while we were in. I still feel like it was like auto shop or something, but I think it was photography. But we were back there and like.
No, you guys had auto shop, and her and I
I had auto
photography.
shop. Yeah, maybe we were in auto shop.
Yeah, no,
together.
you guys were,
Yeah.
but that's where we would all see each other because remember, there's that little kind of quad parking lot in front of the auto shop and the
Yeah.
photo lab. So that's
I don't
where we would
remember
see
you
Gino.
in photo class, so I'll bet you it was auto shop.
No, it was auto shop.
I believe it was auto shop.
Mr.
but-
Villa?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Via was the man.
Ronnie says
Yeah.
you look fab tonight, by the way, Jen.
Oh, brother, thank you.
Younger all the
She
time.
always looks fab.
Yeah.
But
She's a beauty.
we were talking music, and you know, at one point you're like, you know, because I was a football player, or sort of.
Yeah, Gino was a jock.
So and you told me that you're like, you know, you're pretty all right for a jock. At one point you were wearing a Zeppelin shirt, you know, the classic Swan Song shirt.
Mhm.
The what's his bucket's Last Stand shirt. I was like,
Okay,
"Oh,
right.
And I asked you, so I still didn't know much about him. I was pretty naive about all that. I was just getting into rock and roll and Zeppelin in particular. And I didn't realize, like, 'cause you said you'd gone to some shows before, but not Zeppelin shows, just shows.
Right. Right.
So I was like, oh, did you ever get to see him live? Give me this look.
No.
Told me I was a poser.
Yeah, I can only imagine what I said to you. No. How
Yeah.
old do you think I am, idiot?
That was great. You totally Liz Lemoned me. It was freaking awesome.
Hey, there was an earlier Who's the Man, and Gino, I think you had a really insightful comment. I think if I'm remembering right, I said something like Simpsons or Family Guy, and
Heavy shit.
so it's sort of Seth MacFarlane or Matt Groening, and you pointed out in the comments, and it passed by everything, that South Park would be a way better comparison. Trey Parker and like both musical, like great, and they're both juvenile and obscene compared to Simpsons. So I'm going to throw out a Who's the Man? South Park / Trey Parker or Seth MacFarlane / Family Guy?
Ah.
That's heavy. You guys
You're the one who made me think of it.
Well, I'm going South Park. They're far more insightful. And I think they even proved it with their episode about Family Guy. Like,
Right.
when Cartman finally gets in there and it's just a bunch of manatees pushing pre-made ideas through a little like
right.
file.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. That was a good insight you had earlier in the comments, though. That was a better comparison.
Nice.
Here's the thing. South Park was Rush's favorite. Need I say more?
Right. True. Good point.
However, I was forced to watch many, many episodes of Family Guy for a period of time there that we shall not go into.
Wasn't South Park sort of like one of the pioneers? I mean, I know that The Simpsons, obviously, but South Park's been around for like ever and pioneered that whole sort of irreverent humor kind of, right? Yeah,
on that level of...
Yeah.
Well, they took it to such another place too, where they did like what Dave Chappelle does with comedy,
right?
Where you start off with something so hardcore, you're like, "There's no way they're recovering from this,"
right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And yet somehow would like put this whole motive and like an actual lesson behind it at the end of it, to where censors could justify having Christopher Reeves, break.
Yeah, right.
Stem cell therapy. Yeah. It took me 4 times to get through that episode. It was so disgusting. And then finally at the end, I'm like, oh my God, it was actually worth it. I can't believe they made a lesson out of this disgusting, horrible stuff.
The thought of Getty and Alex watching that on the bus is really something,
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it really is, because you kind of think, if you met those guys on the street and you just thought of them as like fathers, and then you think of them as like watching some of the episodes of South Park and thinking they're just brilliant and laughing their asses off.
Yeah.
It's kind of a continuation of this. Greg says, "Who's the man, Bill and Ted or Wayne and Garth?" And this is a timely topic, right? It's a very timely topic.
Oh, right.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the new movie yet.
I don't even know the answer. Go ahead.
I say I haven't seen the new movie yet, but I would say, based on the fact that the longevity is there and that those guys have put it out since they were actual teenagers to when they're 50-something-year-old men, you might have to see Bill and Ted, because Wayne and Garth don't really get along in real life anymore.
And they don't save the world with their music like Bill and Ted do.
And they don't have George Carlin.
I was just going to say
George Carlin. Or Beethoven or Napoleon or any of those characters.
Yes.
So I think we've gotten somewhere with this.
What's that, Gino?
For me, it's a little bit more of a... I mean, I loved Wayne's World. That was probably my favorite movie for a little while when I was a kid and whatnot. And I mean, let's face it, they helped bring Queen back in a lot of ways.
Right.
Yep.
There's some scenes in there that just, you can never take it away. They last forever. They were amazing. But Bill and Ted were from San Dimas. I was born in San Dimas.
Gino's from San Dimas. That's right.
I didn't even know it was a real place until later.
Here's the thing too. And when we
went to the very first water slide in California in San Dimas, Raging Waters. Remember when that opened in San Dimas? Just like the biggest deal ever.
G Benelli Park.
I think you mean Waterloo.
Right.
Waterloo.
Right. Waterloo.
Not only that, wouldn't you say that like Bill and Ted are just an accurate portrayal, whereas Wayne and Garth are a parody? Bill and Ted, like when we met Gino, was he? I mean, did he not have like stringy surfer hair down to here, Jen? And was he not? I mean, he was straight out of San Dimas.
Yeah, he went straight out of San Dimas. Yes.
Even though I grew up in Osos, but a bit of it followed me, and I talk like a stoner kid and all that. And
you're absolutely the dude.
We use words like Ganny. That's so Ganny.
If we agree Bill and Ted is the man, then this is probably less. Your comparison was better, but where are we at with Bill and Ted versus Strange Brew?
Ooh.
Oh.
Steve Harris
I
says
don't-
Bill and Ted had Clarence Clemens in it too.
Oh wow.
I'd have to go with Strange Brew just out of sake of
Yeah, they kind of have that predecessor thing going for them.
Yeah.
Those situations always skews to
Say
the
that again. I
forerunner.
missed Strange Brew and what?
And Bill and Ted. If Bill and Ted wins, then how do
Oh,
they?
Strange
Bob and
Brew.
Doug.
Yeah, yeah.
Strange
It's sort
Brew
of like the
rules the
Carson
world.
Letterman thing. Like one is a pioneer and the other one.
I knew Trav was going Strange Brew on
No,
that
Strange
one.
Brew. There's not even a comparison. Strange Brew rules
Right.
the world.
I knew it when I said it.
Like especially
Smells
like-
in my
like-
beer, eh?
yeah, like Max von Sydow is the villain.
Yes.
I could crush your head like a nut, but I won't because I
Did I
need
send
you.
you the?
An okay comparison, Dale. You know, we're just trying to think of these comedian duos
Yeah.
in movies who are
Yeah.
running around having adventures and such. It's okay.
Dumb but funny and cool. Did you
Plus-
see the Rick Moranis commercial? Did I send you that, Travis? Did
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
see this? There's
Yeah.
a phone commercial with Rick Moranis in. Oh, I shouldn't have brought it up because I can't remember the super famous guy's name in the commercial, but he's like Rick Moranis is just like, what am I doing in this commercial? It's like I'm just a huge fan.
Craig Hill chiming in, by the way. Craig Hill says Strange Brew all the way. I must
Yeah.
100% agree with this.
Anybody
He-
our
he
age is going to say
introduced
Strange
me to
Brew.
Strange
Yeah.
Brew.
Okay.
Craig
Craig
introduced you to
actually
Strange Brew.
introduced me to a ton of those old cheesy movies. He was my gateway.
Stephanie says even my parents love Strange Brew.
Nice.
Now, here's the thing about Strange Brew. Like, even the music was awesome, and they've got that riff at the end, like when they wrap the movie up, and it goes bow, dannel, 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 bow, and it's got like a ripping song called, oddly enough, Strange Brew,
Yeah.
which
Geddy Lee, by
completely
the way.
sacrilege, right? But like,
Yeah.
can you have a guitar song called Strange Brew that's not Cream, right?
Right.
Right.
And Geddy Lee was singing, so it's all.
No, he wasn't.
It's
He
all-
wasn't on that movie.
Oh, I know, but he was in there in that song.
He was on their album.
Yes,
The
that's
great
what I meant.
fight.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so Monty Python or like the SCTV?
Oh,
Oh wow.
That's a rough one, man.
I think
Right.
I would go SCTV if I'd seen more of it. I lived all isolated up in Humboldt, and I couldn't watch any of that until it was so far past. So I'm still gonna. Well, but I loved me some Monty Python too. I don't know.
SCTV meant more to me because Monty Python was kind of my brother's generation, and he used to watch it, and I grew up with it, and we literally have like 16 millimeter movie of my brother out on the dunes doing Monty Python, where he had his arm in his sleeve like this and put tuna and ketchup all over it,
oh.
Yeah.
and he's like standing there going, "Come back, fight like a man."
Nice, nice. It's great.
So
But-
they got
I am
the-
more familiar with Python than SCTV, so it'd have to be Python for me.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, Jen, because you weren't exposed to SCTV, but a lot of that went to Saturday Night Live. Like Ed Grimley is actually
Right.
SCTV.
Okay.
All right. That's the thing.
Billy or the McKinsey brothers are SCTV. So like,
Yep.
you
John
and you were exposed to them probably via Rush, but a lot of stuff that you know well is SCTV, even though you never probably got SCTV because Jen never had like the good television until she moved here.
Television. Gino, what's yours?
I gotta lean towards Python.
Yeah, I
There's
think I do too.
There's a couple of things to me that like SCTV, while they did have some stuff that was like, I mean, like some of the John Candy stuff and all that
Mm.
sticks for sure. Monty Python had some stuff that to me is just like top 10 bits of all time, or top
Yeah.
5 bits of all time. Like,
Right.
I mean, every once in a while, just because it makes me feel better about everything, I watch the whole clip of the end of The Life of Brian. I
Life of
believe.
Brian.
Yeah.
Always look on the bright side.
Exactly. So good.
When life's a piece of shit,
When
take
you-
a look at it.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And everybody just whistling while they're being crucified. It's so perfect.
Yes.
Right. So how's everybody else? How are you guys doing? Like as far as like we're coming up on half an hour here or an hour and a half. So just to keep everybody on track and know where we're at. If anybody has anything we want to try and squeeze in that we've forgotten or missed,
I had a couple of notes on your first half hour without me.
Oh,
One is that Judy also.
Yes, back to Judy.
so close it out with Judy. Very good.
Everybody forgot to mention that she's also an absolute kick-ass superbike rider.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Motorcycle superbike connoisseur, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Another side note, which kind of spanned from that, was the Saved by the Bell thing, where there's a little bit of history where I'm actually involved with that sort of.
Oh, brother.
As some of you know, because I tell stories repeatedly. I used to work at a high-rise casino in Lake Tahoe as a security guard, and we had this giant underground basement maze area. It had the largest pneumatic stage at the time. It was Elvis's favorite place and all that. So, but it had all been shut down, and so they ended up doing some filmings down there. And Elizabeth Barkley, who was the nerdy girl, the nerdy hottie from Saved by the Bell, wound up being in a different movie, which some of you may have seen and paused on at times. Not me or nothing, but it was called Showgirls.
Oh, right.
A fine cinematic.
Here's the thing about Showgirls.
Well,
I'm gonna get super crazy geeky now.
Oh no, that's right. You have a Showgirls one also.
Back when they were doing Fishmasters on local TV, which was kind of like a cable access version of Bill and Ted and Bob and Doug and all that stuff. There was like a local hot model blonde girl that was on that show. That was like her claim to fame back then. And she would be like in like a bikini out fishing with these guys, like in like a little 12-foot aluminum. And she was also a huge part in Showgirls, that like her claim to fame.
Yeah, they filmed that in that big old labyrinth that I was talking about. And Elizabeth Barkley was the type who would like put her name. She's like, I was here. Elizabeth Barkley was here filming Showgirls. 19. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So that was neat. And I see Judy is like, wait, how did you know? We did a show with what was Baby Shark, or what was her name again? Not Baby Shark.
Yeah, Baby Shark. That's what they are. That's who it was. That's who it was. It was Baby Shark.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Keith. Sorry. But we did a show in LA during the NAMM show with Pet Shark, and me and Judy got into a conversation about superbikes because, as you guys recall, I used to ride a little bit back in the day.
Yeah. In a way that you're lucky to have survived.
I'm not stalking you that much, Judy.
It's not like you're watching Saved by the Bell and taking camera stills.
Right. That would
and
be
texting them to her on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. I'd still come off pretty clean compared to that.
Yeah, I mean that's like some psycho shit right there. Hey, I got another Who's the Man before we wrap this up. And I just watched one of these last night maybe, or night before last. Blues Brothers or Spinal Tap.
Ooh, no.
Saw that.
That's a harsh one, right?
That's almost a legit tie. That's tough.
That like makes me want to quit my job right there.
They're both great. I'm just gonna say Blues Brothers, just because I haven't seen it in a longer time, and I would enjoy seeing it again more.
I'm gonna go with overall enjoyment every single time it's on with Blues Brothers, just because it's more of a trip. I think a lot of musicians feel like Spinal Tap is just too real.
Yeah, it's true.
It's
such effective parody that it's not.
Yeah,
so you chronicled my last 10 years in the industry.
Yeah, I mean the characters are kind of ridiculous. Not that we don't know characters like that, because we absolutely do, but even the stuff the problems like the wireless at the military base and stuff like that. That's just life in a band.
That's like watching Office Space.
Yeah.
It's like
That was-
watching Office Space if you work in a cubicle where you're just like, yeah, that's what's the joke? That's so you showed up at my job.
Phil from UFO swore to us that the Lost Backstage was him. Although I know a few
yeah.
people that claim that, but he says that was UFO.
I'll buy that from Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jen. The bigger the cushion, the sweeter the
I don't know. I'm
cushion.
leaning towards Spinal Tap. I gotta say, I don't know. That's really tough. Yeah.
That's one of the hardest ones ever.
That's because they have the ultimate bass song. That's why.
Although Blues Brothers has one of the greatest, car crash pileup scenes like
Right.
ever filmed,
Right.
and you can't.
Well, and
You know
the
what I mean?
greatest soundtrack of all time.
And the great,
Yeah,
amazing. Well, the Spinal Tap soundtrack doesn't suck, but yes, the great Sam and Dave are always amazing tunes. And so, I don't know. Maybe I will have to go with Blues Brothers. I don't
Tough
know.
one. Yeah, I don't know which one, if one holds up better, because it's been a long time since I saw the Blues Brothers.
I was
Gino?
gonna say, which soundtrack did I? Because it came down to music with both of those in a lot of ways. They're both infinitely entertaining, but it came down to, in my head, to answer this, was which music did I listen to? Like when I had the big stereo system in my car and all that. And the first thing that went through my head was I listened to a lot of Sam and Dave by proxy, Blues Brothers, but then I realized I used to blast the hell out of Big Bottom and shit like
Right.
that. Just the Fonzies, and it just cracked me up. Like I had this Alpine system in my car, and I would be just rocking Spinal Tap, and it just made me laugh so much. So
Mark Storm says there's a fine line between, which it's I'm amazed Mark is hanging out for this. That's awesome. Hey, I'm gonna give the comment of the night to James Tejada, and then I think we should start wrapping this up. But James Tejada, hut.
Oh, yeah.
well played, James. Well played.
Yeah, but Gino didn't make his Who's the Man choice yet. I don't think.
thought James was gonna get me out of this, man.
It's a tough one.
I guess
You don't
just
have to make a choice.
all the way around, I got to go with Blues Brothers. And it's probably the fact that they destroyed more cars.
Yeah. Those are the greatest scenes
That's
ever.
what tips it over the edge.
Yeah.
I legit listen to those albums. Like,
I
those-
totally do. I have so many Sam and Dave records.
but I mean, the Blues Brothers live stuff is a collection of some of the baddest session players. Like every single person is a monster, and there's two comedians singing, and it still doesn't wreck it. It's like Steve Jordan playing drums and Donald Dunn playing bass and Matt Murphy just and I have
Matt guitar, Donald Duckdom, Matt Guitar Murphy. Come on, say it right.
I know, Paul Schaefer. And, oh my gosh, it's insane.
Yeah, that's right. Paul Schaefer. That's right. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
All right.
Paul-
Yay, Blues Brothers, Chicago.
Paul Schaefer
right.
didn't get in the first movie because he took the Letterman show right before the movie started filming.
Wait, so say what?
I say Paul Schaefer didn't take the movie because he got the Letterman gig right before they started filming, but he still did the soundtrack.
Yeah, and Belushi was mad at him for it. I thought that he did a tour, and it was the Rain and Men women who did. I thought it was that, but it must have been what you said. I believe you.
What do you got going, Jen?
Nothing.
Oh, one last other note. Dale, your soul patch rocks.
Oh, thank you. It's the lazy shave.
You gotta do it right, you know.
Represent.
All right, everybody.
Thanks everybody else.
Yeah. Thanks, Gino, for 30 years of. And by the way, Gino's been if we could have the dream team at every gig in the world, which we've only had one night really in our lives, which was at the first X Jam. You would have Kip, the boy, and Gino.
Yep.
And if we could take that show on the road and do North America, all would be right with the world, and our jobs would be easier.
Yep.
Like that was the dream team. That was like that was the night where everybody, like, it all worked. The synergy, it was a thing.
Love those guys. Love you guys. Thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. I know it's late there.
So you know what your instrument is, right?
Oh yeah, and I think I know how to start it.
Do it. It'll be out of sync. Just deal with it. Trev always starts it with a guitar, even though you got a fucking cowbell. Keep going, it's gonna be out of sync.